Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I'm Dustin, and I'm here to show you another Bethlehem torch. This one is the Bethlehem Bravo. So this is the next size up in their torch line. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than the Alpha that we just did, and it's also going to give a little bit more variety in the kind of flames that you can get. So if you want to spend a little bit more money and have a little bit better torch, this would be a good one to choose. So it's got 4 knobs on this one, as the last one had 2. So the inner flame is the Alpha, and that's the same exact torch that we did last time. And the outer flame is the Bravo. So the smaller knobs are for the smaller flame, and the bigger knobs are for the bigger flame. So the first thing we're going to do is turn it on and check out these flames. So here's the Alpha flame, and you can see it's the same as last time. We can get about that big before we start to lose our heat and width. We can get about that small. We're producing a little pinpoint flame, you can see. And that's great for some stringer work or some more detailed work. Flames like that for fuming. So that's pretty good. But then what's cool about this is that you have a little bit more heat when you need it. So like when we melt the center of the spoon, we're going to use this part of the torch, and that's going to give us a lot more area, and it's also going to let things move a little bit faster. So we'll turn those off for a second. But before I do, I just wanted to show you kind of the range of that outer flame. So you can get it kind of small like this, and as long as you have enough oxygen flowing through this thing, you can get a pretty narrow flame that's a little bit wider than the Alpha. Then you turn up the propane a little, turn up the oxygen, you can start to get a pretty nice sized flame. That's probably on the upper end of what this torch can do. These Bethlehem torches also come with the instructions here. These are for poking out stuff that may get inside your torch, for beating the torch, and then this is for cleaning the surface of the face if you ever get something stuck or some carbon buildup. I want to remind you guys that these torches are available at Mountain Glass Arts, and this one in particular is going to be sold at Mountain Glass Arts, and it's going to come with the spoon that I'm about to make here. And I'll sign that for you guys. So I'm just going to heat this up. You can see already things move faster and more evenly, and that's really a great benefit towards having a bigger torch like this, is that you can work a bit faster, and because the flame is larger, it's going to make the heating process more even, which is really good for everybody, not just beginners starting out. So I'm going to heat this up and flare it out a little bit. I'm going to connect these two. This torch, we're starting to get into the range of what you can use for a couple years. You know, after you start to kind of learn some different techniques, and it'll give you a pretty good size. Whereas the Alpha torch, you know, people will outgrow that torch pretty fast, because it just is a little bit small to do any larger size pieces. Another advantage to having a torch with multiple stages like this is that you can hook up a foot pedal. So as opposed to turning off the torch like that, I could have a foot pedal that would turn on and off that outer flame. So I could just click my foot and it would come on and off. So now I'm using the Alpha torch, the center fire of this Bravo torch, to heat up and separate the blank that I'm going to use for this particular spoon. But you can already see that things are moving faster than the last one. So heat it up. Going on the rolling blade, I don't know, it's a modification of a V blade. Let that cool just for a sec. Pop that off. And we're going to turn the outer flame back on. And this is just so much easier to work when you have a larger flame. That thing is hot right now, and I remember the last time I did this, that took a few more seconds. Heat that up, blow a little bit, make a round bottom here. Now I'm going to turn off the outer flame and just have the center flame for the punny. Attach that. We're going to let that cool down and get nice and stiff. We'll turn on the outer flame again. And now we're going to heat up the center. And remember before, we had to spend a lot of time on this particular part because it takes a lot of effort to get that heat really nice and even with such a small flame. So you guys can see the differences, and then you'll be able to make the right choice for you. This torch is a little bit more expensive, but it has benefits, and that's kind of the nature of life. So it applies to torches too. We're heating it up. And when I do this, I always put the heat a little bit more on the bottom, and that gives me a slight taper. Just pulling it a little bit as it cools down. Now I'm going to turn off the outer flame, let that cool all the way. And I'm going to go into the Maria on the mouthpiece and just heat that up a little bit. Push. Blow just a little bit. Now I'm going to make this even more narrow. Something like that. And that's going to allow me to come in here and condense that end while I'm taking it off a little bit. Heating up, and it's condensing and a little bit more narrow, and that's the perfect point to disconnect this pipe. Now I'm going to go back to the punny and remove that. Still while I'm keeping the outer flame off. Just pull that off. And then we're going to turn the outer flame back on. One thing I look at when I'm setting these torches is the center of this flame. And so right now I can tell that I have too much oxygen and not enough propane in the center of this flame because it's a lighter color. So I'm going to turn up the propane a little bit, adjust the oxygen, and now this all makes one color. And now I know that it's the same temperature from one side of the flame to the other. So now we're going to heat up the part that's going to be the bowl. Just let that condense a little bit. Just gonna start to shape it. I like to do this twice, kind of do a pre-shape, heat it up, condense it back again. And once it's all ready to be blown out, There we go. Now we'll turn off the outer flame again. Just go back to the center flame. We want to let that cool so it's not moving at all, because if you start to put it in the hole when it's still moving, you're going to need to hold it at one point or another and it's going to start to droop. So you always want to make sure that that's nice and cold before you go ahead and start to do this part of it. So I'm going to pull a little piece out, get it ready for where I'm going to pop my hole. Got the hole in there. Next thing we're going to do is heat up around the hole, like this. So I'm not heating the hole directly, I'm heating up all the wall around the hole. And that's going to help get a really nice even push on this. Push the bowl. You always want to push that hole aiming towards that so you don't get any ash in your mouth. And turn off the outer flame again, pop that carb. And then the last step is to flatten the bottom. Nice even heat on the bottom. Hold one end on your marver. Push down. Now we got a nice flat bottom, so this will sit. And the very last step is that we're going to take this off. And you guys at this point might want to put your piece in the kiln, especially if you used any color, or if you've worked different parts and then gone back and reworked parts. All that stuff causes stress. But because I just went from one section to the other and I made it really fast, it doesn't need to go into the kiln right now, but after I make it, then I'll put it in the kiln for an annealing cycle. So after you get it off, you want to grab a reamer tool. I got this one from Nathan Smith. Just go in there, open that up a little bit. If you want, you can either use the back of your jacks or a paddle to flatten this out. There we go, folks. There's a spoon made on the Bethlehem Bravo. It's a great torch. It's a good one to have around the shop. It's a good one to start off with. It gives you a lot of variety. And if you ever want to upgrade, this would be a great torch for a friend to use at your shop. These are available in Mountain Glass Arts, and this one in particular, I'm going to sign it right here under the serial number, and that's going to come with this particular pipe. And we definitely want to thank Mountain Glass Arts for setting up these reviews and getting this information out to you guys. All right, have a great one.